Hey, good morning from Austin, Texas. It's Kayak Cliff. Hey, I'm gonna do a little paddle boarding. I'm downtown in Austin, Texas at the scenic Lady Bird Lake. And I've recently picked up some paddle boards, or I've recently started paddle boarding. And I have the Sea Eagle Needlenose 126. I figured rather than start off with a traditional paddle board, why not go to the high performance paddle board? Well, we're gonna take it out here on Lady Bird. I'm still getting my sea legs on it, but it is a high performance inflatable paddle board, and it has a needle nose bow made out of ABS plastic, and it cuts through the water like a knife. So very efficient, tracks like an arrow. And we're gonna get out there and take you on the lake and talk to you about the Needlenose 126 and Needlenose 140 paddle boards. Now she's all inflated, but before we take it out to the water, I wanted to talk about what gives the Needlenose its name. Well, you're looking at it right here, the Needlenose bow. In this Needlenose bow, it's made from a piece of ABS plastic, and that's bonded to the drop stitch inflatable material that makes up the boat. But it has a perfectly straight water line. There's no rocker to the boat. So it's made for straight tracking and long distance touring, and it's made to get the most efficiency out of your paddle stroke to give you the most momentum going forward. And I'll get into it when I'm on the water, but it's almost like there's a stick shift to this kayak. There's a first, second, and third gear, and that's achieved by where you stand on the kayak. So the farther back you stand raises this bow out of the water a little bit, gives you the most stability, but it slows you down the most. Then if you step forward a little bit further, the Needlenose bow touches the water line and starts to cut through it. And then as you stand forward in the third gear position, this Needlenose bow, you want to have it about halfway submerged in the water. And that gives you ultimate trackability and the ultimate amount of speed. So it's really kind of cool. There's no stick shift, but there's 3 speeds to it. Now the challenges at these parks downtown is always getting your boat to the water, but luckily I got a real close parking spot right here. I'm probably about 75 yards from the water. But I put my Pelican case on the back here as a place to keep my camera and extra batteries and phone, and I just have it lashed to the D-rings. So that's going to be my dry storage, and I'm using the paddle keeper to hold 2 water bottles. So really all I got to do is pick up my fin and my paddle and the board and carry this camera and get it down to the water. Okay, enough talking. Let's get this show on the road. Get out here and tour the lake and talk about the Needlenose 126. I like the launch here. It has a paved concrete ramp, and it drops off so you can put your boat down, and your skeg doesn't hit the ground or anything, so you can literally just step right up and you're off. Right now I'm paddling in what we call first gear, where my feet are back between the D-rings and the bow is just slightly elevated out of the water. And this is going to be your slowest speed, and it's going to be the least amount of tracking, although it tracks pretty well. Now, where we launched from was the Lady Bird Johnson kayak canoe launch. And Lady Bird Johnson was, President Johnson back in the 60s was his wife, or the first lady. And she's loved in Texas because of her love of nature and her love of wildflowers and gardening and the outdoors. So it's fitting they named this constant level lake, which is right in the heart of downtown Austin. Basically, it's dammed up the Colorado River. That's eventually makes its way down to the Gulf of Mexico. But this is a paddling community. It's there's kayak launches all over the Lady Bird Town Lake, and what you see up in front of us is University of Texas Rowing Center, and sculling and rowing. The rowing team practices here, and pretty phenomenal place. And you can rent kayaks here as well, and there's many other places along the lake to rent kayaks too. But I'd say if I was going to rent a kayak or a paddleboard or something, I'd check this place out because it is first class. You on the rowing team here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah? This is pretty cool. This is a first class setup.
Yeah, it's real nice.
Now, are these all the university's boats?
No, the university's boats are way down there. They have their own facility.
Okay.
Private people's boats.
Private peoples can lodge, okay.
Yeah.
And then...
And right here, all the ones are open, and then there's a farm hangar over there. And then the one that's right here, those are all the team's boats.
And these are for you to grab and work out with and everything?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. That's always nice out.
Oh yeah. With some backstrokes, the Needlenose turns pretty well. When you're underway, I'm told if you do a little leaning to the right or left, it'll aid in turning while you're underway. But like I said, it's a straight tracking boat. But there's things that you can do by as you get better, which I'm not yet. You can get back to the back. There's a flare in the standing pad that you can do a kick, and you can kick the bow up and do a kick turn, or I don't know what they call it. I think they call it kick turns. But the farther back you stand, I think the more maneuverable the boat is. And again, I'm in first gear still, so I'm doing a little paddling on the right and the left. I'm still getting my sea legs on this, so if you're new to paddleboarding, you're just like me, and we'll learn this thing together. One thing I like about the Pelican case, or even a small cooler, you lash that to the back, and gives you a nice place to sit down, so you're not sitting straight on the hull. A little bit more comfortable seating position. So I was just going to sit down and talk to you about some of the specifics of the boat. Now, the Sea Eagle Needlenose, it comes in two sizes. I'm on the 12'6" or the 126. I think it's called the NN 126. 12'6" long. The hull is 6 inches thick, and it's 30 inches wide. So, a lot of paddle boards can get up 32, 33, 34 inches. And those are your traditional big round broad-nosed paddle boards. And the difference is with those paddle boards, they're more the traditional type, and they just, when you get some chop and everything, they just kind of tap 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 tap, they bounce over the top of the waves without cutting through them. And that's where the Needlenose comes in as more of a high performance model. So I was really glad to be able to try this out and use this, and I'm really kind of getting the catching the bug of paddleboarding, but I'm not going to stop kayaking, believe me. Now, they also make a 14-foot, which is the NN 140. Again, it is 30 inches wide, and it's 6 inches thick. The 14-footer will carry 275 pounds capacity, and this 12'6" model I'm on will carry 225 pounds capacity. So You know, they're rated for one adult paddler, but you can put a child up in the front or a dog or something like that and be great on this boat, so, or this board. Okay, I'm closer to the second gear now, which means I'm standing more forward. And you'll notice the bow, that Needlenose bow, it is lower in the water and it is just slicing through. Now, as you stand further forward in the different gears, it gets less stable. So that's where I'm getting more comfortable with this boat. But already I see the tracking is phenomenal. And you know, right now I'm doing about 4 strokes on either side. So I was out on this Needlenose a couple weeks ago, out on a lake up in the Dallas area, and a buddy got some shots of me paddling it. So here they are. Here I'm paddling it, probably standing in the number 1 position with the bow slightly out of the water, or maybe a little bit in the water. But you can see how I'm doing here. Now the Needlenose, it comes with, it has 2 small skegs out on the 2 sides in the stern of the paddleboard, or the back of the paddleboard, and then it's got a big center skeg that you just slide into the receiver on there and lock it in with a pin. Very easy to remove, but when you take the board apart, and then you just, you know, take the fin out, store it, and roll up the boat, and the boat goes into an included backpack, and not difficult at all. Literally all you do is roll the boat up and put it in the backpack and throw it in the back of your hatchback. Check it on an airplane, check it on a bus, whatever. It's super portable, super durable, and ready to take on any adventure you want to go on. Now, to me, this is the gem of Lady Bird Lake in downtown Austin. Off to the right here, and I'll put a map up on screen, but off to the right here, this is Barton Creek. And Barton Creek is a spring-fed creek. And as you paddle up this creek, when you start, it's this color. It's just the lake water color, clarity. It gets gradually clearer and clearer to crystal clear, spring-fed water up at the head of it, where it hits Barton Springs pool. And you can hop out, mask and snorkel, and do some snorkeling. So we're going to go up there now. Boy, the hydrilla here, which is all of this vegetation, is just thick. It's probably been a year since I've been up this creek, and came up here in my kayak, and plan to return with my kayaks later. But after you get up past this bridge that's up here, it starts to clear, and I'm hoping that the hydrilla weed clears up as well. Here now I'm standing further back on the board, elevating the bow a little bit so I don't get any interference with the weeds. But turtles everywhere. Here you can see it's starting to clear up some. Oh yeah, the water's getting deeper, clearer, getting that little bluish color that you get in, you know, well, Florida Springs. Not quite there yet. Just sitting back on the box, my Pelican case, or, you know, like I said before, it could be a hard side cooler that you put back behind the back D-rings, slightly rear of the middle of the boat. And sitting back this far, just paddling, single paddling here, I've noticed, oh man, the boat is more maneuverable. So as you go back farther in the back of the boat, definitely a much more maneuverable boat. So again, standing more forward, super tracking ability, super you know, razor cutting through the water ability. Sit back, lift the bow up, and you know, much more maneuverability. So I'm under a bridge here right now, but wanted to say, you know, if you're new to paddleboarding, kind of like I am, I learned, you know, there's a paddleboard paddle. You don't use a kayak paddle or a canoe paddle. It's got a curved blade on this side, and then it's got a handle which goes the opposite way of the curve of the blade. So the blade is facing that way, and I'm grabbing here on this handle, and I'm paddling when I stand up. Now, the thing that's interesting about a paddleboard paddle is it's adjustable. So, you know, you can push it in, and basically, you see on there, it's got different graduations on there pertaining to height. So I have mine up at the 6 foot mark, or I'm gonna put it back up there, and then I just lock it shut, and it's there for me to my height. And that's nice. So one paddle can work with a bunch of different paddlers, and Sea Eagle sells these paddles as well. This is their carbon fiber paddle. Now there's rope swings all along the side of this, and the jogging trails are on both sides of Barton Creek, but Barton Creek goes really far, but basically what's navigable is only about maybe a half mile in, and then you hit a dam, and that dam forms Barton Springs Pool, which is a spring-fed pool. It's same temperature year-round, whether you come here in the middle of the winter or you come here in the summer, which means in the summer it's cold, or it feels cold, probably 72 degrees or so, and in the winter 72 degrees feels great when it's 52 degrees outside. In the summer, when it's 92 degrees outside, 72 degrees feels cold, so go figure. But anyway, that's the reality of it. Try to turn here. I'm turning with the boat as I paddle harder on one side, and getting around that tree, so no problem. So there's Barton Springs, the dam that forms Barton Springs Pool. I'll get up there and take a shot of it for you. But boy, you come down here at the end of the workday, and there are a ton of people here. I wanted less people for filming this video, so I came in the morning, and that's why I took the day off. But oh, you have it all to yourself if you come here this time of day. So you got two different crowd levels, and you just work your way around that with whatever you want. Okay, just figured I'd sit down for a minute. I want to talk to you about the construction and how this Needlenose SUP is manufactured. But first, you know, when we started paddling down Barton Creek, you remember how congested it was, weeds everywhere in the water, and you know, we had to paddle just a defined trail. Well, it's amazing that it opens up in just like a half mile up Barton Creek, how it opens up into this oasis. So when you come up here, go check out Barton Springs Pool. It's awesome. But even if you don't want to go to the pool and pay to go in there, where the pool spills into the creek here with that little waterfall, that's an awesome area to just congregate, bring a cooler and a towel and just swim for the day, let the dogs swim, whatever. But yeah, with the paddle boards, every inflatable paddleboard you get has drop stitch technology. And if it doesn't have drop stitch, you definitely don't want it. But there are different levels of drop stitch. So what is drop stitch technology? Well, it's when you know, the board is 6 inches thick. Now, in the middle of the board, it's all interwoven with thousands of filaments that are tied together, that tie the top and the bottom together. And as you inflate with your manual inflator or your electric inflator, as you inflate, those top and bottom levels are going to pull, but they're not going to go anywhere because the fibers hold them in place. And as you inflate harder, the fibers pull harder. And as the fibers pull harder, that means you're inflating harder. So they work in tandem. But what that creates is a very hard, rigid board. As a matter of fact, you wouldn't be able to take human feet and stand in the middle of an inflatable anything and not have it just bow if it didn't have the strength of a hard board, of like a fiberglass or a composite board or a plastic board. So that's what drop stitch technology does. Now, the Needlenose is inflatable up to 15 psi. That's 15 pounds per square inch. That's extremely hard. Some paddle boards are only inflatable up to 8 or 10 psi. I've heard some might go up to 20 psi, but 15 psi, that's the bar. I mean, that's where you want to be. And all of the paddle boards with Sea Eagle are inflatable up to 15 psi, which makes it extremely rigid, and that translates into really good performance for you on the water. Okay, we're paddling back out of here. I'm going to stand at position 2, get a little bit more speed. I'm not quite ready to get up to position 3 to shift to 3rd gear. Want to check on my balance a little bit more, but it's nice to have a board that you know, you don't grow out of right away. You know, this one, if you stand back in 1st gear, then you know, pretty darn stable and tracks pretty well too. But now I'm moving in 2nd gear. I'm going pretty fast, and as you can see, it's slicing through the water pretty nicely. You know, these paddle boards, it's amazing how small they pack down. Like I said before, they pack into a backpack, but you know, they roll up. If you got a family and you want to get a family out on the water, I mean, quality boards like this, 3 or 4 of them for your family, rolled up, stored properly, grabbed and thrown in the back of your hatchback when you want to head to the lake, that's cheap fun on the water. You can spend a whole day out on the water with these things. And when you're done, you just roll them up and store them at home. Now up here, this bridge, this biking and walking bridge that crosses the river, City of Austin says no jumping. We got an early riser here. Before noon, we got a guy up there that's getting ready to jump. But boy, when you come here at the end of the day after work, I mean, that bridge is just loaded with people getting ready to jump and doing flips and gainers, and oh, that's a good dive. He slapped his feet on the ground. He slapped his feet on the water, so he felt that one. But yeah, it's tons of people. It's fun people watching there. This guy that jumped off before, he said he's going to jump off again. He's going to do the same thing he did before, but he's going to point at me when he does it. So we'll catch some footage of it. All right. Hey, we're at the end here. Thank you for coming with me on this review slash adventure. I like combining them because there's a little bit of a storyline to not just talking about the product, but the Sea Eagle Needlenose. If you're looking for something that slices through the water, that's the fastest SUP you can get, that has good stability, but you can grow with it and do different things, and you can do some touring. And when there's wind, it cuts through the water better. Still, you're a human sail when you're standing up on a paddleboard, so it doesn't help you with that, but it does cut through those waves and chop far better. I'm really impressed with the Needlenose. Again, this is the 12'6" model. They have a 14-foot. I'm gonna try that eventually. I'm told the 14-foot is the ultimate in stability, but it's 14 feet long as well. They used to have an 11'6" model, but they don't have that anymore. But the 12'6" kind of is like that perfect balance. So anyway, check them out. Links are in the description box. And thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to my channel. I do product reviews, tips and tricks, and most of all, what I love to do are adventure videos. So just taking you out to different places and show you some cool places to get out and enjoy the outdoors. So again, thank you for watching. God bless.